Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. I have been holidaying with family, so I'm kind of just trying to catch up with myself at the moment. And in that is this full moon in Cancer reading that I want to do for you. I've also just recorded a video pre-doing this one that is going to tell you how to go onto one or the other of the two free softwares that I tend to use for readings, Astrodienst or AstroSeek, and just shown you how to, in this previous video, just shown you how to draw up your own chart and have a look at your own chart for where these things are showing up and impacting most strongly. So I just did that for you to have a continual reference back for future forecasts as well as this one. But we are going to jump into the full moon reading and see what we see. So let me just share the screen for a moment. And also, I used my own chart there as an example, so I may just jump into that again for some of you who did not see that reading. Okay. Oops, sorry. Hoping you're seeing that fine. Do you know, I hope I'm recording this. I actually, just hang on, no, I am recording. I'm recording, it's all fine. Getting my brain back into work mode. And actually my brain is very in question during this full moon, and I will show you why. We are looking at the date of January the 6th, 2023 for full moon in Cancer. And the chart that I'm showing you is done on AstroSeek right now. The other one that I wanted to show you, I did show you in the previous videos, is Astrodienst or astro.com. And this is what the chart looks like, slightly different. Okay, this is not the full moon chart, this is my birth chart. This is what it looks like, slightly different to this one. And you can play around. I actually use both of them. I find it easiest to pull up the charts for my forecasts on AstroSeek, but I tend to do my readings for people on astro.com, Astrodienst. So just let me make that a bit bigger so you can see it here. This is our Cancer full moon for the year. And you can see that the moon is happening down here at 16 degrees of Cancer. That's the crab pincers over there. That's 16 degrees of Cancer, opposite Sun at 16 degrees of Capricorn. I say at every reading, Sun and Moon are always opposite each other at a full moon. That is when the moon is reflecting the most of the Sun's light. Therefore, she is full in the sky. It is when she is at her most fertile, most full, intense, luminous, grandiose. So whatever we're going through at that time tends to be bigger. That is true for the things that are good and the things that are not so good. So it's again, with all of these things, if we're doing our continual work around the wheel, every season that we're working with, we're checking in with ourselves thoroughly, then it tends to be that we don't have as much of a jarring impact. But certain moons, certain anythings for that matter in the sky, will impact us more strongly. And that's why I did the previous video, because it just so happens 16 degrees of Cancer is where I have my Mercury personally in my natal chart. So now I know this is going to be a very intensified full moon for me, because it's triggering and activating my own mind, my own mental process story. So if something is triggering in your chart at 16 degrees of either where the moon is in Cancer or where the sun is in Capricorn, that's going to be stronger for you. And you could even look at the other cardinal signs, because Cancer and Capricorn are cardinal signs, as are Aries and Libra. So if you've got something at 16 degrees of either of those, that's going to be a square energy to this particular full moon. So we also have two retrograde planets at this point. We have Mercury retrograde moving towards the sun. Mercury is at 17. They are super close together, and Mercury is actually invisible in the night sky at the moment, because anything too close to the sun is invisible to us, because the sun obviously is overpoweringly bright. So Mercury is retrograding back. It will come into alignment with the sun and really be hidden by the sun and intensified by the sun. It's almost like a trial by fire process. And Mercury is our mind. So if I'm looking at that in my chart, I'm going to see that Mercury in the sky, in the living sky right now, is opposite my natal Mercury. So I'm having a very strong dynamic of mercurial nature over this sun moon pull, which is always what's happening at a full moon. Tug of war with sun and moon. Like let's decide who's right and who's wrong. And can we neither of us be right or wrong, or both of us be right or wrong? There's always that dynamic. And when we're talking Cancer, we're talking about the ultimate sort of mothering, nurturing energy. It wants to nourish, it wants to feed. This is the moon ruled sign. So she's in her home space. She's having her fullest moment at home. It's like a house party. She's having a party in her house to celebrate herself. And if you've ever thrown a party, it's that kind of feeling of, I have decorated it the way I want it. I have catered. Catering is a big one because Cancer loves to feed. I've catered the way I wanted, but now everybody's here and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. I've put so much into this party. Now I'm overwhelmed. I hope they like the food. I hope they don't mess on the rug. I don't want the party to get out of control, but I want everyone to have fun. And so there's all of those kind of feelings. And in Cancer, because the moon is about our feelings, and Cancer is so feeling oriented, we want to look at what am I feeding the feelings? And literally, maybe I'm going to the fridge in the middle of the night because I've got so many feelings. I'm literally feeding the feelings, comfort eating. Or what am I feeding the feelings with? Am I feeding the feelings by taking the time to feel the feelings, to journal the feelings, to breathe through them, to exercise through them, whatever that is for you? But moon in Cancer is a feed the feelings. Do we feed them healthily? Do we feed them unhealthily? Am I nourishing or am I stuffing, numbing, dulling the feelings? Like maybe suddenly all I want to do is eat sugary foods and it's actually making me feel worse, but I'm distracted because I have a stomach ache. So I'm now distracted with the stomach ache, the physical discomfort, rather than having to feel the emotional discomfort. So looking at how you are dealing with that Cancer moon, and then remembering that the sun is in Capricorn with Mercury, and Pluto's also here, but he's like 10 degrees off Mercury. And he's been here a good long while. He's actually about to exit in the next few months, which is extremely exciting and shifting and a little bit anxiety inducing. Whenever a big planet like Pluto, an outer planet, moves signs, it happens much more rarely. And so it always makes a lot of shifting. So we've got this kind of like imminent shift of Pluto from Capricorn to Aquarius. But right now we're looking more at Mercury and the sun in Capricorn. Now Capricorn has more of where Cancer is that mothering, nurturing, feed the feelings, look after the emotional needs of my little chickens, wrap them in can be a bit smothering, Cancer. Capricorn says, let's get out, you climb that mountain yourself. That's a different slant on parenting. It's almost like mother and father. We could look at Capricorn more being the father. Like, I'm not going to put you on my back like your mother would and carry you up the mountain. I want you to climb the mountain. I'll be right here behind you, watching that you don't fall, but I want you to become independent. I want you to learn how to climb. I want you to recognize when something is shaky ground and not put your feet there. Test the waters, so to speak, or test the ground beneath your feet before you commit to it, but keep going, keep climbing. That's much more Capricorn and much more practical than that emotional, watery energy and nurturing energy of Cancer. It's much more practical. Build the building, get it done, one foot in front of the other. Slow and steady wins the race. So with Mercury in retrograde there's a lot of reflection on those kinds of things. Let's reflect on where I am not being practical in my way of getting things done, where I have been not shoring up my foundation and standing constantly on this crumbly foundation and then wondering at why things are collapsing. When we deal with the polarity, the two opposing signs of Cancer and Capricorn, we're also in a very sort of traditional space. Both of these signs have got strong traditions, and there's a level of nostalgia, and we need to look at what traditions are working. Where can I build on healthy, practical, traditional things in my family line or in society? And where do I need to break it down? Because the whole of Pluto's journey, which started in 2008 through Capricorn, which he's coming to the end of now. Well, when I say the end of, Pluto's going to dip his toe I think it's in March, into Aquarius, and spend a little bit of time there, giving us a hint of the next 20 years, which he will be doing his Aquarian journey. But then he's going to backtrack into Capricorn and go, hang on. Make sure I did my Capricorn work. And then I think it's only in 24 or 25 that he fully enters. Anyway, it's still a while before he fully enters Aquarius and doesn't head back into Capricorn for like 250 years. It's a very long cycle. It is an elliptical orbit, which means that Pluto is not spending the exact same amount of time in every sign, and he spends a particularly long time in Aquarius. So this is going to be a big shift for us, and we're just getting a little flavor of it. But as we are feeling into Capricorn Pluto journey, which we're coming to the end of, what a lot of that has been is about breaking down the top-down power structures. And we can see this in the political climate anywhere you look. So when we have the sun there with Mercury there at this full moon, Mercury retrograde at that, it's also quite a strong reflection on that Pluto journey. What in our societies, what in our political climates, what in our financial climates, etc., has been really spotlighted, and what is breaking down, what is now becoming toxic and unstable, destabilized, and recognizing, okay, let me understand this, because I'm going to have to move past this. I am in my individual capacity. We are in our collective. So how do we recognize the top-down power coming down? And then Aquarius is more power with the people. It's more one level. We're all the same. We are all one. We're not going to be sexist, ageist, classist, racist, blah, 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 blah. Any of the ists. We're more like, we're just people doing our best. How do we focus on the community, the whole, the collective? Hive mind. So this moon is giving us, this full moon is giving us a real opportunity to do some powerful reflections, because we're not going to have another full moon in Cancer this year. We only have one full moon in a sign per year, generally speaking. So this is the one opportunity to really dig into that before Pluto starts his move into Aquarius. So it is quite a powerful opportunity to reflect. We also have Saturn here doing his last degrees of Aquarius. So he's been in the Aquarian journey, and he'll be stepping out into Pisces, where we can look at where there's some good karmic things happening for us, positive karmic shifts. So I know that these are slower things that will be happening, not just what's happening at this full moon, but I feel like this full moon is giving us that opportunity to deeply reflect. So as I said, we have Mercury in retrograde, and we also still have Mars in retrograde in Gemini. We've been dealing with this for some time, but he's reached the end of his retrograde. He will only go direct about 6 days on the 12th. So just after this full moon, a few days after the full moon. But he's at 8 degrees, and he's stopping at 8 degrees. You can see this is 8 degrees and 21 minutes. I think he goes back to like 8 degrees and 8 minutes, but I might be wrong. The point being is that he's still very slowly moving backwards, but he's not moving off the 8-degree point. So where we find ourselves at this full moon is the same degree point that Mars will stay at until he starts to move back forward again, and we will go, oh, I can get things done. Because Mars retrograde, Mars is how we do things. It's been in a holding pattern. I feel like this full moon has got quite a lot of hurry up and wait energy. We've entered the new year and we want to burst forward, and the new year's numerological card is the Chariot. Take the reins, jump on your chariot and focus your energy. And yet we still have two personal planets, the way we think, Mercury, and the way we act, Mars, in retrograde at this full moon, going, yes, hold that enthusiasm, build it, bring it in, but we can't quite push through until those retrogrades end. And those two planets that are retrograding will go direct quite close to each other. And then we have, I forget the time, I think it might be 4 months, in which 3 or 4 months, anyway, in which we don't have any retrograde planets. Now, that is not super common. The outer planets are often retrograding for a long period of time per year. So to have no retrograde planets it's going to be whoosh, that chariot feeling. Now we have the momentum. So this full moon is going, hold on a moment, let's just contain our energy, let's do the deep reflection, because when Mars and Mercury go direct, and Uranus is Uranus direct by this point? One moment. No, Uranus is also still retrograde at this full moon, but will be shortly turning direct as well. So then suddenly everything is direct, we're moving forward, and we will have that window where there are no retrogrades, where we will have fast propulsion forward. And if we've taken the time to actually reflect, not just fight against the fact that we have no forward or less forward movement, and that frustration is just like butting our heads against the wall, instead of going, okay, well, when I get the forward momentum again, what has been working, what hasn't been working, what do I think about it, how do I want to do it, let me reevaluate, all those conversations. Then when we have the retrogrades end, we can go. So I think that's kind of the most important things I wanted to mention for this full moon, is that Mercury and Mars retrograde, which is strong. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say is that Venus is in Aquarius. She's at 4 degrees of Aquarius. Now she has her next retrograde process in Leo, which is opposite Aquarius. It comes in the late July, I think. So I think it starts at 12 degrees of Leo. So at this full moon, we're coming into the space, not quite there yet, but into the space which is Venus opposite the area of the chart where she will be doing her retrograde process. So whatever we're feeling now while Venus is in Aquarius, because remember the two signs opposite each other, like full moon here, we're saying Cancer, Capricorn. The two signs opposite each other have this really intense, powerful, transformative dynamic where they are the same but different. There's so much in them that is similar, but there's so much in them that is like opposite. And so working with those energies is really powerful. Now, where we are looking at where Venus is in Aquarius, Aquarius is opposite Leo, and now we're looking at that dynamic. So what we're having when Venus is in Aquarius, which again is all that sort of hive mind, work together, power with the people. What do I value? Venus is love, money, value. What are my values around the collective, my community, consciousness, the country in which I live and what's showing up there, the world, the global community thing. What do I love about that? What do I value in that? How do I infuse my muse-like Venusian energy into those things? Because when we get to the retrograde, so we can say from July, I think the retrograde only happens late July, but there'll be the shadow period. When we get Venus moves into Leo in July, now I'm going to look at what do I feel about me in my community, me in the collective. How can I make a difference? How do I stand out and be my unique, individual, honest, sovereign self and be healthy and good and well in my community? So what we're going to be seeing with Venus now over this full moon and for the next month-ish is going to be the other side of where we will have a long retrograde process in Leo later in the year, I think it's from July to September. So just check in with what sort of themes are showing up, because the theme will be similar but different, because as I say, that's the polarity of any two opposing signs, similar but different. So something that is going to be coming up while Venus is in Aquarius now will echo when we do the retrograde. So pay attention, have fun with it. There's no right or wrong answer. You're not failing anything. There's no way to do this better. It's just be curious, be interested, observe. I hope this has been helpful, and let me just stop that. And thank you for watching. If you are looking for personal guidance or support, please check the links in my bio, and I really look forward to hearing from you. Comment, like, share, all those things to help me to grow this business, because I really love to be of service in the world and want it to be the way that I can make my living so that I can share and support even more. Thank you for your time. Have a beautiful full moon, and our first full moon of the year. Enjoy.